Hello and welcome to the Datacolor 2014 webinar series. I'm David Toby, Product and Technology Manager for the Spyder line of products at Datacolor, and I'm joined here by David Saffer, who's going to be speaking today on calibration for video reference displays. Now that's a new phrase to many of you, but video reference displays are in fact what makes the world go round for anybody in the video broadcast or cinema field, because everything you see in a video stream you see on a video display. So while Datacolor has long been calibrating computer displays, a much needed accoutrement to video editing, because that's where your video is actually edited, is on a computer, the need also is to see the work that as it's going to look on a video stream, and that can only be done really with a video reference display. Now, we're very pleased to have a new partner, Plura. Plura Broadcast is making fantastic broadcast monitors. They're a level of broadcast monitor we should all aspire to own in terms of quality, uniformity. It's just a wonderful device. So what we're covering today is the new relationship between Plura and Datacolor, the fact that you can now buy a Plura display and get a Spyder with it for calibration. I mean, affordable calibration devices are a kind of a new thing for video reference display calibration. So those of you who may be familiar with Plura and less so with Datacolor, Datacolor is providing the hardware that is now driving Plura's calibration software for calibrating Plura displays. For those of you who are coming in from the Datacolor end, it's the other way around. Datacolor Spyders can now be used to calibrate Plura displays. So this is a new situation that we're very proud of, and we're very happy to be here with Plura today. We have some Plura techs on the line for answering your calls, so please set up your GoToMeeting so that you can see the control panel and open the question and answer section of the panel so that your questions can be taken by a Datacolor expert or a Plura expert as need be for answering your questions. Now I'm going to hand the webinar over to David Saffer to explain the process to you. David is a professional photographer and a color management expert from Southern California, and he's in sunny Southern California today, while I have migrated back to the cold, dark Northeast in Maine, where there's still, well, I can see a 6-foot snowbank out the window as I speak, so I'm slightly jealous. But hopefully we'll, all of the Plura and Datacolor people in California will take over for me if the power goes out due to another snowstorm here. So David, take it away.
Thanks, David Toby, for the great introduction. I'm joined here by Ray Calo, who is the president and CEO of Plura, and David Philpott, who is the technical support manager. So we've got quite a lineup of talent here to help you understand this new partnership and how this technology works. I'm going to go to the second slide. We're going to introduce the Datacolor Spyder4 and the Plura Calibration Suite 3G used now together in video reference display calibration. And this partnership between Plura Broadcast and Datacolor leverages our technology and expertise. It's something new under the sun. We have finally an affordable device to calibrate a video panel and an excellent range of products from Plura. And so that combination, I think, is going to be a real winner. Now, this Datacolor Spyder4 was initially designed to calibrate computer-driven displays in all kinds of applications, including video editing, but also for still photography, graphic design, and things like that. It's used in both single, dual, and even multiple display configurations. And we use the device to calibrate the standardized color gamma and luminance for a variety of post-production applications, all of which I'm sure is familiar to the people in the audience today. Plura Broadcast produces high-quality broadcast monitor solutions, and of course Datacolor creates world-class management solutions, color management solutions for industry and imaging. Now, the software that we're going to talk about today, which I'll describe in a moment, has three functionalities. It's calibration, measurement, and data saving, or saving to the display and to the computer. And I'm going to jump right in. I misspoke. I want to make one point first, is that basic display calibration is that a series of color patches or patterns, however the software and the hardware is set up, are displayed on the panel, and they're compared to standards using the measurement provided by the colorimeter. Typical measurement parameters are gamma, color, temperature, and luminance. In this webinar, of course, we're going to discuss video reference display calibration using the Spyder4, and that's a full spectrum 7-color sensor that accurately characterizes wide gamut and normal displays. So video reference display calibration, you can see here a very simple graphic representation of the flow that we're going to go through. One starts the calibration suite 3G from Plura. You use this Datacolor Spyder4 to measure the output of the panel or display, and then of course you get the results via the Plura calibration suite. Now you're going to need your current computer set up as is. You need a current computer display to run the Plura software control panel for you, and the calibration sequence runs on the reference display, the second display with the Spyder4. Some other setup tips. The required connector is an RS-232 null modem cable. A lot of computers nowadays don't necessarily, well, I shouldn't say a lot, but some computers don't have 232 output. And what I found in my own learning curve, that the simplest, fastest way to get past this particular corner was to go out and get a USB to 232 converter that was less than $15. It worked great. Had to download updated drivers for my Windows box, and I was off and running. Typically, we all know that we want to warm up displays at least 30 minutes. Preferably with a video reference display, you want to go 45 minutes to an hour. You're going to need to make sure the Spyder4 is flat on the screen with no light leaks, and has a counterweight, as many of you are familiar with. But it's a good idea to tilt the display back about 10 degrees, and the Plura panels have highly adjustable stands, and that's really not an issue at all. You connect the Spyder to the USB 2 connection on the back of the computer, and it's an automatic calibration sequence suitable for most users. You're going to see the software screen in a minute. It might look a little bit complicated, and the fact is there's a lot of customization built into it. But as a practical matter, most people aren't going to take advantage of that or want to use it. The automated calibration sequence works fine for most users. What I found on my particular box was it was better to disable the screensaver and the hard drive sleep and any other applications running in the background. I'm told that the software is very tolerant of that, but that was my approach to getting the workflow running. One thing that you should know is that unlike computer displays, video reference display calibration data is saved to the panel, primarily to an EEPROM. And there's a free link at the bottom here just so you can take a note of it. I also want to point out that this webinar is being recorded, so that if you want to go back, you don't have to frantically scribble anything. This webinar is being recorded, and you'll have access to it on both the Plura website and the Datacolor website. The Plura Calibration Suite 3G, there's a link right here, plurabroadcast.com, downloads, and click on software, and you can download the software and take a look at it. Of course, you will need a calibration device to go with it. So first we'll talk about setup. And here's the first panel of the software, the Plura Calibration Suite 3G, and you can see the finger pointing right to the spot that's important, the setup. So we're going to go to the Setup tab, and then we're going to, from there, select the colorimeter. You can see this supports a number of colorimeters. We're going to select the Spyder4. And we're going to select the COM ports. And you need to select the COM ports for two devices. First of all, for your video reference display, that says monitor here, and you have to find the COM port for that. And you need a COM port for the colorimeter. Now, it's going to vary from machine to machine, so there's a little bit of trial and error, or if you've got the expertise, you can get into the operating system and take a look at where that particular device lives. depending on your operating system. There's different places you can go to look that up. In any event, you would set up both those COM ports so that the software can see the hardware. At that point, you're going to go over and click on the Connect button, and you can see it right here with our little pointer. And you're going to click on the Connect button, and it's going to reach out and look for those two critical devices. And it's going to take a few seconds. If you're trying this for the first time, you have to be a little bit patient. It takes a few seconds depending on how fast your machine is, et cetera, et cetera. And they come up readily. It's not a big deal. Once they're connected, you will see a white target square on the reference display. You place the Spyder over that, and you can see that I'm overlapping the square. There's a rubber gasket that goes around the sensor port on the Spyder, so I'm not missing the edges of the square by much. It probably could come down 1/4 of an inch, but it really, as a practical matter, makes no difference. So far so good. David Philpott, do you want to make any suggestions or additional comments before we move on to calibration?
No, I think you pretty much covered it well right now. If anybody has any questions, they can surely ask them, and I'll answer them as we continue, but I think you did cover it pretty well.
Okay, thank you.
So go ahead, David.
So we'll move on to calibration, and again, this is going to look like a lot of information, but really we just have to go to the important bits and make sure we pay attention to those. So we click on the Calibration tab, and you can see there's a lot of information on the screen. It's organized into segments, and we're going to address some of those. The first one we're going to do is set the gamma, the target gamma for this. Now, most people are going to go to gamma 2.2. That is the default, and that's also the default for computer-based calibration is 2.2, so it's easy to remember. And I'm going to flip forward a slide. I want to double-check something here. Yeah, okay. And then, depending on whether or not you have an 8-bit monitor or panel or a 10-bit panel, is going to drive your decision in this next drop-down menu, which is called steps. And that's basically the levels, which is a term we're all familiar with. On an 8-bit display, you're going to have 256 steps, and on a 10-bit display, you're going to have 1,024. It's important to remember and look up the specs on your monitor before you begin this. The display that we're dealing with, in this particular case, the PBM224 is an 8-bit device, so we're going to pick 256. I'm going to go back. I also want to point out here that there is a box to change the monitor source or backlight. The default is digital. It's also not necessary to change the backlight setting. For this display, for example, the PBM224, the backlight setting at 45 is appropriate. So you can see from this calibration setup panel that it's very straightforward to get started. And we're going to move on to measurement. Now, on the PBM224, I'm going to ask David Philpott to step in a moment. On the PRM model, one would enable the color space, and you would see all of these be populated. On the PBM224, you would not enable the color space setting. David, any other comments on this?
Yeah. I mean, for the most part, we have one model that's a Plura reference model, or a PRM. There are 3 different sizes of that: a 17, a 24, and a 32. And that's really the only models that you would use this color space for. Any of our PBM or SFP or LCM or any of the other models that we have, you would not be using this color space for. It would actually fail during calibration if you selected this. So,
okay.
And that's all I have.
Okay, I'll continue then. Now we're going to go to the measurement part of this, and let's see here. Yeah, the next slide is very clear. And of the measurement steps, we're going to measure target settings. The ones that we're going to pick for this particular cycle are gamma, color, and color temperature. We're going to leave uniformity alone. It's not necessary in this calibration cycle. You can see that both devices are still connected, and we are moving right along. You want to enable the color space RGB triangle. This is one of the analytical tools that will pop up after the calibration is complete and the measurement is complete. And we do want to see the results from that, so we're going to enable that. And then we're going to click on Measure. Now, I want to back up a minute. I forgot to mention something. I'm going to back up several slides here. Okay. When we click on Calibrate, that calibration cycle, I neglected to mention this. The calibration cycle is going to take 20 to 30 minutes. So it's going to run through the sequence that you would normally expect to see. It's going to run a bunch of colors, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And the colorimeter is going to read the values of those colors as displayed by the PBM or the PRM display, and it's going to log them and then do an analysis. So you can expect that calibration cycle is fairly long, longer than perhaps you're used to if you're accustomed to doing computer displays. Not horribly so, but definitely a little bit more lengthy process. So let's move forward. So we're going to select for measurement gamma, color, and color temperature, and the color space RGB triangle. And then we're going to click on Measure. Now, this cycle takes 5 to 10 minutes. It's much quicker. And you can see it's already building the measurement graph, and it's building up. These are intermediate measurements, so some of the values that you see on the screen aren't necessarily conclusive. And it's going to continue to the end of that more or less 10-minute cycle. And then we have the results. So at the end of that cycle, you're going to see the color space RGB triangle. You're going to see the log of results here. David, this is where I have to rely on you for interpretation. If you could speak to this for a moment, I'd appreciate it.
Okay, no problem. Yeah, I mean, at the top, you'll basically see the gamma, and you know, this one with the gamma was actually measured at 2.20, and then you know, then it does measure each color: black, white, red, green, blue, yellow, magenta, and I'm sorry, cyan.
Cyan.
Cyan. I can never remember how to pronounce that. I'm sorry, but but then you'll see the 3200K, 5400K, and so on down the lines, and that's the actual measurements with XY values of the actual color temperatures also, and compared to what, you know, I mean, that's actually what it's measuring, and then you would have to just compare those to the spec that you're looking at.
Okay, I'm going to just take a moment and look at a couple of these questions here. One question is, does this only work on a Windows platform? And the answer is, at present, yes, this is for Windows machines. It runs on XP, Vista, and Windows 7. There's a question here, can you use the Spyder4 to calibrate a monitor without the use of the Plura suite? The answer is yes, but you would need the Spyder. This is the equivalent of a Spyder Elite, so you would need the Spyder Elite software.
Yeah, it should be pointed out, David, as well, that there's a difference between the kind of internal calibration that's possible when you marry a piece of software to a particular brand of display at the manufacturer level, which is the wonderful thing that Plura has done here.
Yeah.
The options that are available for kind of generic calibration of a video reference display with the Datacolor software are much simpler. And they're less automated as well, so it will take you longer and it will not cover as many detailed features, but it's certainly possible to calibrate other brands of displays with the Spyder. It's just not possible to do it to this degree and with this level of finesse, which is, after all, what owning a Plura is all about.
Yep, and that's a great lead into the next section. So we're going to save the results. So once you finish your calibration, this pop-up is going to appear, and its auto calibration has been completed. Would you like to save your data? And what it's going to do is save the data to the EEPROM that's in the panel. So the calibration is not saved, for example, to an ICC profile resident on your computer driving a video or graphics card. It's actually saved directly to the monitor's EEPROM. And if you don't click cancel, it's actually after 15 seconds, it's going to save it automatically. That's a great convenience when you're working with a video workflow for obvious reasons. You may be swapping out different devices to feed that panel, but the calibration will still hold. So very, very, very flexible and sophisticated software and hardware setup. You can also save the logs here, and you can save or load them. David Philpott, could you comment on that a little bit?
Okay, yeah. After the calibration year, after the calibration is complete, it does save it to the monitor, and it actually what you pointed at, the load, save, and clear, that's actually for the temperatures, just loading and saving it into the suite. If you wanted to save the information of the calibration, it would be down there at the log towards the bottom where it says clear and save as.
My mistake. That's right. I pointed the wrong place.
Save that then to your computer for future reference if you ever needed it. And also, and I believe you're going to get to this also, you can also save the measurement of the monitor, the actual measured values, and the log after it's measured also for future reference.
Why don't you continue with that part as long as you're on a roll?
Oh, okay. Let's see. Right now we're on a calibration screen. But on the measurement tab, if you could go to that, David.
Sure. 1 second.
Okay. Yes, right here. So as you see underneath the measure button towards the top, there's a save as, and that will save all the measured data that it measured. And what's basically in that red square is what it'll save, basically in a notepad type of file that you could save on your computer just for future reference if you wanted to come back to it in 6 months and see what it was actually measured as. And again, down at the bottom, the log for the measuring of the measurements can be saved also.
How often do you recommend that the PBM or the other displays be recalibrated?
We normally recommend about once every 12 months. And of course, again, that's probably going to depend on how much use is the monitor's getting.
So it's got a lot of hours on it, then you would probably recalibrate sooner.
Well, I mean, it's based on every 12 months is really based on it going almost 24/7. So if you didn't use it as much, it might not be as necessary. But that's the nice thing about this Spyder Elite, the Spyder4. With our calibration suite, you don't necessarily have to calibrate the monitor every time you plug this in. You can always just do a quick 5 or 10 minute measurement whenever you determine it you would like to, just to see where it's falling.
If I may add as well, the calibration process in the LCD monitors technology is done for gamma correction primarily more than color shifting as it was with the CRT. CRT technology shifts because it's analog technology. LCD technology is progressive, and your calibration does not shift, your gamma does not shift. The only issue you might have is the white balance. So we recommend to recalibrate once a year due to the light or the backlight physics. It changes between time and time, so your white balance may change. Think about it just like a fluorescent light, which is basically what it is, or LED, or even OLED. The physics of the light changes after time, and it's recommended to calibrate the monitor for your white balance once every 12 months.
I have a question that I'll put on the table from one of the attendees, and they're asking which model would be best for HD video.
Yeah, I saw that question and I answered it, but I think the attendee is referring to the probe. Which probe he mentioned?
I see.
He's asking what probe rather than what monitor. Just for general question in case if it comes up, all Plura monitors support HD, SD, analog, HDMI, DVI inputs. They are standard.
Right,
Okay.
which actually answers an earlier question that was asked about inputs on the display, so that's good to cover that. The Spyder4 Pro and Elite have the full suite of functions and ambient light sensor and so on for use for either with the Plura software or you know, for the simpler calibration functions in the Spyder4 TV HD software. So it's either one of those can be effectively upgraded to use with Plura or elsewhere. But the Elite is the one that is most commonly used in conjunction with these uses because it has the most features for computer calibration, which is the other function Spyders are always used for.
If I may interrupt as well, to answer Gustavo Carrillo, I hope I'm spelling it or pronouncing it correctly. Forgive me if I don't. If you use the calibration parameter, if it was incorrectly entered, two scenarios could happen. Either the calibration will fail and it would not continue, and all you have to do is go back and reset the monitor. Or if it does happen and it goes through and your parameters went through incorrectly into the monitor, you can reset the monitor to factory default, and there is a process for that. So you don't have to worry if for some reason you had an issue with the calibration. And I see here there's another question from Nick Haynes. Does this set black levels? Yes, it does. It does set your black level automatically, as well as if you can look into your measure data box where we have now the presentation. It tells you what your black level is. Let me see if there's another question I may ask. Edward, how about 4K? At this point, it's still under development. Plura does not have a 4K monitor. It's in the roadmap. We will assess it. We will add it once the 4K monitor is available.
Yeah, I would add to that that the jury is somewhat out on 4K and how soon it's going to be upon us, but the color issues, the calibration issues with 4K really don't have to do with color or gamut or gamma or any of the normal functions of a display. They have to do with the huge amount of data that has to be gotten through there and what channel or path it's going to take. So if you have a display like a Plura where you're doing the calibration within the display, that's not a problem. It will communicate automatically. If you're trying to communicate with this display through, some new and unique high-speed transfer system from some other solution, then there's no guarantees as to just what data is going to go across there automatically. So that's one of the virtues of an internal calibration system.
If I may add too, the software you're seeing here in the Spyder4 is not only can be used with a Plura monitor. The software will allow you, of course, because of the integration, and we call it ICAC, Intelligent Connection for Alignment and Calibration. It's meant to do this work for you automatically because there's a protocol between the Spyder4 and the Plura monitor and the software all connected together. If you have another monitor, a third-party monitor, and you want to match it to the Plura monitor, for example, or to any other monitor, you may still use the software to measure, but of course you cannot calibrate automatically because there is no protocol between the third-party monitor and the software. However, you can measure, you will measure the values, and then you have to go manually adjust the monitor values. Some manufacturers do give you some access, some don't. So this is important for you to know. This software is a freeware, is available on Plura website. You go to plurabroadcast.com/downloads and click on Software tab. We do not sell the software, and the software is available with every Plura monitor you purchase.
That link is also provided on one of the earlier slides in this deck, and of course this will be recorded so you can go back and look that up later if you need to.
Stephen, yes, you can calibrate one monitor and send the lookup table to other monitor. However, I would not recommend that because you are defeating the purpose of this calibration. Every panel would have a different gamma curve when we get it from our supplier, which is normally LG. If you calibrate one monitor and you have these values or these lookup table values to that monitor, and you import these values to another monitor, let's say a Plura monitor, it will be close. It will be as close as, I would say, 95%, but it would not be 100% accurate. We do recommend to calibrate every monitor. Every monitor leaves the factory in Phoenix, gets calibrated individually. We do not copy, we do not calibrate one and copy to all the others. I hope this answers your question.
All right, shall we move on? I think we're ready. We've already been through this. Now I have some information for you, and then we have a giveaway and some promotional info, so stay with us for the next few minutes. I want to thank Datacolor and Plura Broadcast for their support of this webinar. It's very much appreciated. The Datacolor site is www.datacolor.com or spyder.datacolor.com, Spyder with a Y. Plura Broadcast is at plurabroadcast.com. Both companies will be at NAB in Las Vegas April 7th through 10th. We are going to be in different buildings. The Plura exhibit is Building N and space number 2830, and Datacolor will be in Hall C 12434. For more information, you can contact sales@plurabroadcast.com. And a recording, again, will be posted on both the Datacolor and Plura websites. Now we have a giveaway for a Datacolor Spyder4 Elite, and the winner for this is Donald Hamilton. Donald, one of our marketing managers, will be getting in touch with you via email to make arrangements for delivery of your Spyder4 Elite. Congratulations. Discounts and promotions. Datacolor is offering 20% off all Datacolor Spyder products purchased at spyder.datacolor.com. This is for U.S. customers only. It's valid from April 1st to April 8th, and the code is display20. That's display20. The Plura promotion, with the purchase of every PBM 219S monitor, there's a complimentary universal portable color calibration and measurement probe, a Plura ICAC intelligent connection for alignment and calibration software tool, a PBM 17RK 19-inch rack mount kit, and the total added value of that is $400. I want to thank everybody who joined me today as organizers and panelists. Your support and expertise is greatly appreciated. I'd like to welcome everybody to keep track of the webinar stream that's coming through on spyder.datacolor.com. We have lots and lots of webinars scheduled this spring on a wide range of products, including still photography, videography, all kinds of subjects, and color management, of course. So I hope you'll join us again, and have a great day.